Hello friends, I'm back to show you another simple video on how to remove your continuous strand weaving on your triangle loom with a slip stitch, and show you also how to do the invisible seam one more time. So to start, I had made myself a triangle on my Hideaway Homestead loom, and it is off of here, and you can see how much they shrink. Look at how much it shrunk. But I made one and I took it off using the slip stitch method. That way I get a nice chain looking edge. It is not called a chain stitch because a chain stitch creates a chain that you work off of. This is just a slip stitch, and I'll show you what that means in a minute. So in the meantime, I had made another triangle that I'm going to hook this edge with this guy with the invisible seam method. I am not by any means an expert in this, and I am fairly new, but I just wanted to share what I've learned, and maybe it'll help somebody out there too. The loom's ready to go. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Here we go. I'm going to try not to move this around too much because I have this habit of moving it so that you can see it, and then it gets you kind of woozy. A quick note about crochet hooks. If you're not a crocheter and you don't know what kind of hook to get to work with, what I found on these looms is that you do want a bigger hook, which, let me move up a little, maybe you can see these better. It doesn't want to focus. This would be considered a bigger hook. These are getting smaller. The hook size is important because if you get it too small, you're going to pull the edge in too much and it's going to buckle. So I found with these looms is that if you take a hook and you put it down here and it fits right there in between your nails, that's a pretty good size. If you can go one up from that, it's okay, and go a little bit bigger. But this seems to be working out fairly well. Try different hooks and see what works for you. So in this case, I want to show you, I start on the left end. There are other people that start with other ends. Whatever end has your tail that you started with, you want to start taking it off on the other end, because you're going to be taking it off one nail at a time. When you get to this end, you're going to use that tail to pull through your loop to lock it, because it's already there. Use it. All right, so here we go. Okay, so I zoomed in. The first thing you need to do is get this corner loop off the loom and onto your hook. If you need a smaller hook to do it, then do that. It's kind of fussy to get started. Here, let me come under here. I don't want to get in the way. I want you to see what's happening. Okay, now if this edge starts popping off, that's fine. Just ignore it for now. Ignore this edge. We're only working on this edge. The next thing you need to do is go into this next nail and get the loop off of the nail by sticking your hook in the loop, pulling it up, and now you have the two on there. You're going to pull the second one through the first one. Sometimes you have to hold it, especially at the beginning here. Okay, let's do this. Right through there. Okay, you're always going to have one loop on your hook. Now we're going to go to the next nail. If you pull them up on the nail a little bit, it really helps to get in there. Once I get started, it'll go better. Okay, now we're going to go to the second, or whatever, the second or third one here. It's the second one. Go in there. And you're going to hang on to this one if you have to, which I think works better. And then you're going to pull that through there. Okay, now we're going to keep going all the way down. Another one. Pull that one through. Another one. Pull that one through. Okay. Now I'm sorry to move around too much. I'm trying to put something under the loom to get it so it's up in the air a little so you can see. Okay, there we go. Next one. Pull it through. Okay, got the idea? See, now it's a little looser. It's easier to work with. I'm just going to keep going right on down. If you can do it without hanging on to it, that's more the merrier. But I find that I have to kind of hang on to it so I can not drop it. Now, if these just pop off the nail down in here, any of these, if you have woven it correctly, it won't unravel. You'll just have to find that loop. So you can take this off and do it when it's off the loom. So you can do it later on if you want to. I find it's a little bit, I don't know if it's easier or not, but it's a little more controlled when you do it while it's on the loom. Okay, see that? Okay, so what we're getting now is this edge. Do you see that? This creates that foundation for your invisible seam if you're planning on doing an invisible seam. If not, it creates a nice foundation to do a crochet edge. Or just leave it alone, just like this. But it makes it nice and solid and tight, and it looks more finished this way. So I'm going to continue on down and keep pulling them through one at a time. If I lift it up, again, that helps. Pull it through. Pull it through. Okay. Get in there. Okay, I don't want you to get bored. If I can go a little faster, it'd probably help, huh? Okay. Oop. See, now that the tension's off, it's easier to do it without me hanging on to it as much. There we go. I think we're back to where I can keep going. But you can see if you had a smaller hook, these loops would be smaller and it would pull and bunch up. And if that's the look you're going for, that's great. But you want it to be somewhat relaxed and follow the line of your weaving. So if I could go one bigger hook, it might even be better. It would be looser. I think this is working out pretty good the way it is. So, okay, we're almost there. I'll grab these hooks. There we go. Okay, we're almost to the end. One. If you haven't worked with a crochet hook before, it might feel a little odd doing it, but oops. Okay, what was that doing? Oh, I see what it was doing. Okay, that was part of the edge. All right, and so now we're going to take this very last one, take it off because I had a knot in it. I'm going to pull that one through, and then you can pull it all the way through. And it's a little loose right there because one of the nails, one of them came off the nail, so I'll just pull it through a couple times and that'll make it tight. Yes, we will. Huh. All right. Okay, so now we'll back up, and you can see we pulled this off. And now I'm going to just take it right off the loom. And move the loom aside. Oh, for some reason I have this bee following me. Okay, but see the edge here? Let's go back to normal. There you go. See, it makes a nice little edge. So now what I want to do is my next step. Here's my other triangle. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn it around so that it matches up here. So I'm just keeping my facing side towards me is all I did there. And I'm gonna want to put these two edges together. So I'm gonna lift it up, and these are right sides out. It really doesn't matter either way. I'm gonna pinch these together. And we have this end. And you want to match your color lines here if you can, so that for some reason that looks different. One of the times I wove it, I think I did it differently than the other one. So it's actually the same yarn. It's a variegated kind of thing, and it kind of changed colors on me, but yeah, that'll match right about there. Now if you have little clips, you can put little clips on it to hold it. You really don't, I don't think you really need to. Okay, so what I'm going to do is sew these two together. Okay, so now to sew these two edges together, we need a needle. This is either a darning needle or a, oh, what else do they call it? Tapestry needle or a yarn needle. There's all kinds of names for them, but it's a nice hard needle with a blunt end. You're going to have a piece of whatever yarn you want to connect the two with. I'd usually go with something that is, you could use the same yarn that you're using, which would be ideal, or you can use something that is similar in color, and maybe a little thinner than what you're using, so that it can hide a little easier. Right now I'm just going to use this as sort of a contrast so that you can see what happens when I get this done. Also, if you need to, or you have a bigger project, or you feel a little more comfortable, which I do now, you get some clips of some sort, clip them on. Something that won't snag your work. You can use paper clips. Just so that I can kind of keep my colors tight. It'll hold it together while I'm working. Okay, now. Okay, what we're gonna do, I think, is put another clip on it right here. So I can, because this color, you see it up here, but it's back here. It needs to kind of line up with this guy. So I think I'm just gonna, one more clip right there. There we go. Okay, let me zoom in. What we're gonna do is take our needle and our yarn, and we're gonna start by coming up underneath in one of the corners or the ends of this. You're going to see the ends. You're going to pull up one, just pull it up, leave yourself a tail long enough to twist around your finger so you can pull on it later. Then we're going to be going back and forth and back and forth. We're going to go right in the middle and pull up that vertical bar. There's a little bar right there. I'm going to go under that. Don't pull too tight. Let me put it on this side. Now you're going to go straight across and go on this side. Go right between, that's the V. There's a V here. You want to go right at the base of that V. You're going to feel a little bar in there. If you just go from one V to the next, that's okay too. You're probably grabbing it. But I like to make sure that I get hold of it. It's right there. And you pull it up. We're doing a little zigzag, like a little zipper back and forth. Do not grab the outside or this inside edge of these V's. That's a whole different stitch. We're trying to make this invisible. It takes a little bit to catch the edge, the little bar that's in there. It takes a little bit to find it. But it's definitely worth your while if you have something you don't want to see your stitching on. If you have all one color and you're stitching two ends together, and maybe you're making a scarf that's long and you want to stitch the edges together, and it's all one color, you can do some kind of a whip stitch or something that would probably work just fine. In this case, because I have color changes, I feel part of that. Let me just take that little piece, even though it's not the complete bar. I'm going to take it anyway. And you try to keep those little tails out of your way. Oops, I keep moving. I'm trying not to do that. Okay, where's the other one? It's right in the middle. Okay, I see one little bar right there. Is that it? I want to make sure it is, so you can pull them apart and find it in there. I know it's dark blue and it's hard to see it, but there it is. I know I have another video out there that has a different color, so it might be easier to see what's going on. Okay, I'm only stitching this in this color. I probably said this already, but just because I want you to be able to see what I'm doing at the end. I probably normally would do, there it is. I would probably just stitch this in the blue normally. Okay, so we're gonna go over here. It's right at the base of that V. It's really tough. It's actually the top of the stitch that's below it. Okay, there we go. Okay. Now that we're getting close to the color change, you want to make sure you at least do one stitch. I know you want to try to do every single one, but make sure you do it right at the color changes. Right here, here, and here. So that, and look both sides to make sure that they're going to mate up. So when you lay it flat, you won't see it. You'll just see your pattern. So we're going to get over here. I'm going to get up to the color change and then show you what happens, so you won't have to dredge through all this time with me. Okay, so here we go. I'm getting closer to the color. See how that came up? There's a V here, but there I'm starting to pull up the next color. So I can take this clip off of here. And most likely, if I come across to this color, I'm going to look under here. Might have to go in this one here to get it. Where are you? It's at the base of the V, so I have to dig. Where is it? There it is. I see one there. This guy. I don't want to catch that blue in it. Okay, got him. You know, you spend so much time weaving these, you need to spend a little time to get your join nice and invisible. Okay. Oops. Well, when the needle comes out, that means it's time to show you what's going on. Okay. So, let me back up a tad. You've got this whole edge. I'm going to be doing this too. And this is what it looks like. We're doing this, it's going back and forth like a little zipper. If you make sure that you're in the middle of these stitches, that little bar, it's going to work. Now this is what we're going to do. When you get all the way to the end, you can do this, or you can do it a little at a time, but you just to double check that you're doing it right. So what I'm going to do is wind my finger around this one, wind my finger around this one, and now you're going to pull that zipper shut. All right, so we're pulling out. So here we go. Pull, 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 pull. Where did that white go? Where did it go? See, if you kind of miss a spot, you're going to see a little hole there. So that's why you want to get every stitch if you can do it. Okay, so in this case, that white has disappeared. It's down the middle. This one you can see, I would probably back out a little bit and fix that one. Make sure that I catch that center piece. Now if you flip it over, it'll tell you if you did it the right way. You flip it over, you don't see it there either. You'll see it if you pull it apart. That's why you want to pick what color that's going to match. But when I get done with this, and I'm able to open it up and have a square now that I put my two triangles together, when I get that done, I don't want to see white going across the middle of my project. It's going to settle right in. So I'll come back as soon as I get it finished all the way across. I'm going to fix this little guy here first, and then I'll show you the next step is I'll be done. I'll be right back. Okay, I've made it all the way to this end, and it's a lot easier to do off of the camera. But I did notice as I was doing this that you do need to like snug it up as you go and double check both sides, because if you have a problem there or you can see it and you're not happy with that, you don't have so far to back up to get it out. So just sort of snug it up as you go and see how it works for you. And if it was really long and you're going to pull it tight, it might not all tighten well. So yeah, a little at a time I think works good. Now, I wanted to show you something that I kind of noticed here. I'm right at the end. What this bar, let me see if I zoom in if it helps any. Okay. What this bar is that you're trying to get is actually the top of the stitch before it. So there's this stitch and then this stitch goes through it and that one goes through it. So at the very top of this is the top, this is the top of, this is the top of the stitch that's right here. Can you kind of see that? So that's what you're trying to grab right there. So I'm almost done. I did have to pull it out and do it again because I found a few times that it did kind of show, and so that's, you know, it's gonna happen. But this will show you. Okay, see, there's a stitch here. Oops, I'm out of the focus. Okay, you have a stitch right here, and this stitch was pulled through this one. So if I go through the V, the bottom of this V, what I'm trying to do is grab the top of this guy. See it right there? So I want that one right there. If you catch anything else, you're going to see it. And, you know, it doesn't matter if you see some of it, but I was hoping as invisible as possible. So that kind of makes more sense to try to find this thing. It's the top of this one, the next one up. All right, so let's get going here. We're almost done. Okay, so what we need to do, this is because I turned them around. There it is. Right there. I'm hoping the colors aren't lining up all that well, but you guys can do a better job than I'm doing. I'm just trying to show you the concept here without getting you totally messed up. There's just, I'm outside and it's getting muggy, and all of a sudden all these wasps are coming around and bothering me. Okay, so if you hear buzzing, that's what it is. That's okay. As long as they don't sting me, I'm okay. Oh, why is the last one always so hard? So it's the top of this guy is what I'm looking for. Maybe if I go like this and grab it. There we go. I got it that way. Okay. All right. Here we go. I need to get this one. Oh. And where's this guy? He's in there somewhere. Well, it's so close to the edge. You know what? I'm just gonna go here because I'm not gonna be concerned with it, and I'm gonna go down here and not be concerned with it. Okay. So this is the final draw. I'm gonna try to hang on to the other end here. All right, here we go. So we're gonna draw this in one last time. Oop, I pulled too hard, so everything's stretched. Okay, let's go back to here. How about here? All right, let's move all my stuff out of the way, my little clips and everybody. Okay, there we go. So I pulled it tight. You can see the importance of making sure that your colors are going to match on both sides, not just along the seam, but where the sides come in. In this case, it's doesn't bother me that much. I could probably go back and fix it, but it'll do that if you're not really concentrating on what you're doing. But the process here is to show you that we now have a seam. And those are the two edges butted together, but you don't see the white. So here's their white. You're not seeing that running through the middle of your blue. Here's the other side. This is kind of light because that's the color of the yarn, this yarn that was popping up from that. But again, this is what you want to try to avoid, is this jag. So when you're clipping it together, make sure you look at both sides and not just up here. And you'd be move the edges together so that you can, you know, when you're looking at it, you're lined up. But anyway, I hope that gives you something fun to work on. On the edges, when you're done, you can weave your ends in. You can weave them along the center of this again if you're able to do it without seeing it. If you weave back and forth 3 times, it won't go anywhere. If you want to knot it, you can always knot it if that's, you know, that's your preferred way of ending things. Let's back up a little bit. But I'm glad you got to see that. The invisible seam, and it's fairly flat there too. So you're not going to see a huge bump. Just where the two are butting up together. Okay, hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Hi, just a quick video to show you a little trick from sewing that I learned to help line up your colors when you're doing your seam. Is to just, I have these little clips that are sliding, is to take your needle and go in like say the left side of this color right here at the top, and then find your other side and go in the same spot, like right there, and that will line you up. Even though the top, that was what happened before. I was trying to line up the colors on the top, and that didn't work. So if my needle is straight and I do my seam now, my line colors will line up. So does that make sense? So I'm going to use my little clips, and I'm going to clip this to remind myself not to shift it next time around. So now I'm going to do it over here. There's this one. I'm just going to go to the right side of that white one. The right side of that, well, it's not white, it's gray, that side. And so if this needle is straight, my color should line up. So I'm going to clip it there. So when I was doing my seam and I saw this jog here, I naturally, like right here, I naturally shifted it to make those even, but that made the main color jog. So you have to look at the main color where the lines are there to get those guys lined up. So here we go again, like on here. I'll go on this side and on this side and try to get those straight. The needle's straight. It's going to be a lot closer than what I had before, so I'm going to put a clip right there to hold that guy. And then in between, you can just make sure that they, here to here, it's there. You can go across. If these don't line up for some reason, you can just sort of fudge it a little bit. And the same right here at the beginning. I don't have enough clips, but I'm going to go on the right side of this and then the right side of that. And that's where I'm going to want right there. So I'm going to line up my ends here. And I'm going to redo this. I'm hoping, I'm going to try to do it in a hyperlapse, so I hope it works. Here we go. Okay, so I got this far and I pulled on it, and you can see my lines are a lot straighter than the last time. Remember that jog we had going? You'll only see a little jog right here. Let me move in a little bit more. But your lines are, the overall lines are straight for your color changes. And so I'll just continue down here doing the same thing, and you can see that the seam is invisible as much as it can be invisible. I mean, it's in there. Whatever you're sewing it with is inside your stitch. It's down the middle. Okay, so that's the way to fix my last video, the little jog that was going on, is to make sure that these lines are lined up. Okay, thanks for watching. Have fun.